What's going on, everyone? This is Luke from South Beach Sports and welcome back to another video. In today's video we are going to discuss the interesting report today that we heard from The Athletic regarding the Heat's apparent interest in Christian Wood. I first want to apologize if the background audio of this video is a little weird. That's because the noise canceling room that I usually record in is currently closed and I am instead recording in my dorm, which historically for me has been a pretty poor recording spot. Also, you guys know the drill. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn that post notification bell so you do not miss a single video. And make sure to comment down below your thoughts on Christian Wood and if you, as a Miami Heat fan or a potential Houston Rockets fan, would be interested in this potential trade. So all this started early Monday morning when we heard from Houston Rockets athletic reporter Kelly Iko, and I believe I'm pronouncing his last name right, but if I'm not, I sincerely apologize, who is a very credible journalist that, and I quote, "The 26-year-old, in reference to Christian Wood, has been subject to interest around the league, and sources say Miami has been one of the more persistent teams in engaging with Houston on the versatile big man, but barring a blow-me-away offer, Wood should remain in Houston past the deadline," sources tell The Atlantic. And I'm not going to lie, it did weird me out when I first saw this report, given that it would be pretty strange for the Heat, who I remind you guys are 30-17 and first place in the Eastern Conference after recording this video, to make a drastic trade that would definitely change the identity and the philosophy of what has arguably been the best team in the East up to this point in the season. I'll share some more of my personal thoughts on this potential move later on in the video, but I first want to talk about Christian Wood, the player who is undoubtedly very solid. This season with the Houston Rockets, Wood is averaging 17.5 points per game to go along with 10.3 rebounds. Wood is also shooting 36.5% from deep, which is very solid given that he's shooting a pretty high amount of attempts at 5 shots a game. Wood is also a pretty decent finisher inside the paint and he can create his own shot a little bit. So I really have no questions about Wood on the offensive end and how he would mesh with the Heat. But where my questions lay though are definitely on the defensive end, where Wood is an average defender at best. One positive though about bringing in Christian Wood is that he is on a very team-friendly contract, as if the Heat did bring him in, he'd only have 2 years and $28 million left on his deal, and given that the Heat would only be paying around $14 million a year, that is definitely undervalued compared to the big man market. Let's talk now about how Christian Wood would fit with the Heat if he were acquired by them. I already talked a little bit earlier about how he would mesh well offensively, but just for more clarification on that, just envision what the Bucks are doing with Brook Lopez and Giannis. That's kind of what I see with Bam Adebayo and potentially Christian Wood. I envision Bam more as a long-term power forward instead of a long-term center, and I know a lot of Heat fans agree with me on that. It's not to say that I can't see Bam playing at center for the rest of his career. I mean, he's doing a very good job right now at center for the first place Miami Heat, but I'd see him more as a 4 instead of a 5. That's just my opinion. It's easily disagreeable though. I would have no problem if you see him more as a 5. But on the offensive end, Christian Wood would definitely space the floor. He wouldn't clog things up in the paint, and he would just be another floor spacer for Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo to operate with. On the defensive end, though, the Heat would be losing some versatility with Christian Wood in the lineup. You really can't switch him that easily onto guards on the perimeter like you could with a Bam Adebayo. Sure, Wood can handle his own every so often against guards if you were to switch, to be switched onto them, but he's not someone that can be called on to regularly pick up guards on ball screen switches and such. But what you are losing in versatility, you are gaining in size. The Heat don't have that many natural rim protectors on their team. I know they rank first in the league in opposition points in the paint or points at the brim, something like that. And a lot of that has to do with their ability to rotate on weak side and backside coverages and to not allow opposing players to get in the paint. The Heat are immaculate at not allowing opposing teams to reach the paint, much less attempt shots at the rim. With Wood, while he's not a great rim protector, he gives you a lot of size. He's 6'10" and he has a pretty long wingspan, and he would definitely give the Heat someone who can contest shots at the rim a little bit better than, say, PJ Tucker, for example. So what would this potential trade package for Christian Wood look like? I'm pretty sure that if the Heat were to make a deal for Christian Wood, this package would be centered around Duncan Robinson, as not only from a value standpoint it makes sense, but from a contract standpoint, it's nearly a perfect fit with Christian Wood. I think the Heat would also be giving up maybe a future first round pick and a future second round pick. The picks could be left up for discussion, but I am very certain that Duncan Robinson would be involved in this deal. I've seen Heat fans throw in guys like PJ Tucker, for example, and let me talk about that very briefly. For one, it doesn't make or wouldn't even work contract-wise. The Heat would have to give up more than just a PJ Tucker to make that money match, and there's no chance in hell that the Heat are giving up PJ Tucker. Tucker means so much for this Heat team. I mentioned a little earlier in this video how Christian Wood would offer the Heat a little bit more rim protection, but PJ Tucker is by far a more versatile defender than Wood and a way more impactful defender. And whether Wood is traded to the Heat or not, PJ Tucker would still be giving the Heat valuable minutes, especially come playoff time. I'm sure PJ Tucker would be involved in the closing lineup either way, and the Heat just aren't giving up who I believe is the fourth or fifth most valuable player to what is currently the best team in the East. So why, might you ask, would the Rockets look to move on from Christian Wood, who I remind you is a phenomenal offensive talent and has probably been the Rockets' best player this season? Well, I'm going to give you two reasons. Reason number one is Alperen Sengun. The Rockets' rookie center has been phenomenal this year. He's shown his very wide skill set with his passing, his finishing, and his shooting. And given the Rockets' timeline that's centered around the young guard duo of Kevin Porter Jr. and Jalen Green, I'm sure the Rockets envision Sengun to be their long-term center of the future rather than Christian Wood. Reason number two is with the addition of Duncan Robinson, you would be adding a tremendous fit next to Green and Porter Jr. Young guards, when they develop, they need elite shooters around them, and Duncan Robinson, who is arguably a top 10 shooter on the planet, is just that. So lastly, my personal thoughts on this potential move, I just don't see it happening, especially now. In the offseason, we could revisit this, and it wouldn't surprise me if the Heat make this move. I'm not saying that the Heat don't have interest in Christian Wood. This by no means is an attempt by me to invalidate these reports. The Heat very well could have interest in Wood, but I just don't see this happening mid-season when the Heat are playing so well together. I love the front court of PJ Tucker and Bam Adebayo, and while I do see Bam long-term as more of a power forward, he fits so well with PJ Tucker, especially on the defensive end. You would also be giving up Duncan Robinson, who has been shooting a lot better as of late. In his last 9 games, Duncan is shooting 41% from 3, and he has rekindled his chemistry with Bam Adebayo since Bam's return in the starting lineup, and the two have looked great with each other. One thing with Duncan that I just want to mention really quickly, and this has nothing to do with the video, but one notion that I want to dispel about Duncan Robinson is that he's a poor playoff performer, and that's simply just not true. In the 2020 playoffs, Duncan Robinson shot 40% from 3. In the 2021 playoffs, in a 4-game sample size, which I remind you everyone struggled, including Jimmy Butler, Duncan Robinson still shot 37% from 3, which is numerous percentages above the league average. So please get rid of the notion that Duncan Robinson is a poor playoff performer, because that's simply not true. Anyways, sorry for rambling there, but Duncan has been playing a lot better as of late, and to ship him away and completely just switch up the personnel of what has been a freaking amazing team isn't, like, why? What's the point of doing this? I understand the offensive fit of Bam and Christian Wood, and I'm not saying it wouldn't work well together, but it seems like a very risky move to make when your team is so geared towards the playoffs already and when they already mesh so well together. That's going to be it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, like always, and like I said earlier, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on that post notification bell so you do not miss a single video, and comment down below your thoughts on this potential Christian Wood to the Miami Heat trade. And while I wouldn't be a huge fan of it, and while I don't really see it happening, if you would be a fan of it and if you agree with this potential move, comment down below why. I would love to talk to you about it. Anyways, I will catch you later. Peace.